Hey guys, first haul of the new year, because I went yesterday to pick up my books and take a look around, um, and we'll get to why in a minute here, but anyways, wanted to look through these, so we got, first thing we have here is Usagi Yojimbo, the fourth new issue under Dark Horse. And I just noticed these are $4.99 now, so they've raised the price here. But again, from Stan Sakai, and he's basically honestly continuing the storyline that he had going while he was at IDW. Because at that point they'd brought in Usagi's younger cousin here. So they're just continuing on that story as if nothing happened. I did also notice they have I guess what's a new series called Space Usagi. I got the first issue of that simply because it was a one-shot, and I noticed today that they actually had, Space Usagi #1, which I didn't pick up because I don't like whenever they've put Usagi in the future, like that Netflix show. It's that thing. If you've seen it, it's hard to sit through for a real Usagi fan. It's so, like, I don't know what Stan was thinking there. But anyways, I didn't pick that up. But like I said, I had picked up the one shot, and it was like Usagi's descendants in the future. And the one shot happened to be it was rather entertaining. It was kind of like Bruce Lee's that final film that he didn't finish. I think Game of Death, where he's going up the tower and fighting different people in each room. It was like that, but with Usagi versus like some ghosts and baddies and stuff. So, interesting story. I thought that was worth picking up, but I don't know about an ongoing. Because in that one shot, it was like his ancestors reading a book about him, and it happened to be that was the story. Like the last couple pages was like, oh, here's his ancestors are just reading a comic about him. But I don't know if I'd want, to read about said ancestors on a monthly basis. So I let that one sit. Let's see. Also, we have Captain America #5 by Jay Straczynski. Like I said before, Straczynski was the last person that I enjoyed Spider-Man with. Prior to One More Day, or One Last, God, what was it called? Was it called One More Day? I want to say yes. When they messed up the MJ marriage and kind of tried to get a new young audience for Spider-Man and kind of jacked up the entire series ever since. But he's on Captain America now, so picking this up, I haven't sat down and read the first issue yet, but I trust Straczynski, and Captain America is one of my favorites, so I don't really have any worries as far as this series goes. We also have Giant Robot Hellboy #3 of 3. There we go, that's a little better. Very much a Pacific Rim looking type of thing. It's got the giant robot Hellboy, and I'm assuming it was his driver. I haven't read this yet just because I knew it was 3 issues, and I knew I was going to pick it up regardless, so might as well wait till I can just sit down and read all 3. But this has total Pacific Rim vibes for me. I am a huge Pacific Rim fan. I went to see that in the theater. I can't even remember why. I think it was just the idea of giant robots fighting giant kaiju that was like, oh, this is like, we're never gonna see this again. Yeah, big Pacific Rim fan, so this should be interesting, hopefully. Let's see, we also have Batman 141. I just noticed last night when I was putting away the comics from the pre-New Year haul that I had read Batman issues like 138 and 39, but I apparently had missed 137 that was sitting in my pile, so that might explain why I was a little confused as to what the new status quo was for Batman. Hopefully that's the case. I'll probably read that later today if I have time, or this weekend, and see if that's the reason why I was a little behind the ball. That would explain it if I skipped an issue. But Zdarsky's run has been interesting, if nothing else, and if Batman's good, it doesn't even have to be great sometimes. If Batman's good, it's worth picking up. Next we have Immortal X-Men number 18. Like I said last time, this book is kind of getting to the point where I might let it go, just because it's whatever upheaval they did in the X-Men universe of 15 or 20 books that they have coming out. I'm not keeping on track, so I liked them being on Krakoa. I liked that whole world that Hickman built up. But then Hickman will go away for a few months, and they'll be left to their own devices, and they tend to it doesn't tend to be as thoughtful or well organized when he's not physically writing one of the books. And I have heard that this series is going to be coming to an end pretty soon, so I'm just kind of writing it out and seeing what they do, and then long term I might jettison the issues after this Fall of X, whatever this was, because it happened in some other book, and I don't know exactly what happened in the Fall of X, because I didn't pick it up. That's one of the issues with the X-Men books, when they have 15 of them and they're all interwoven as much as they are. Let's see, we have Flash number 4. I've been enjoying this so far. I wouldn't say it's quite on par with Immortal Hulk, because that was just groundbreaking, but they're trying for new things. It's not as easy-go-lucky, flashy as the last few series have been. I tried some of the Williamson stuff with Flash, like that one. They had one storyline that I picked up all of, and I sat down and read it, where I think it was the one where he's kind of bopping around his own timeline, and it was okay. It wasn't quite my cup of tea, so that was that for that series. I haven't really enjoyed Flash on a regular basis since Jeff Johns was on there. Because he did the Rebirth, and he had Francis Manipal on art. When Francis Manipal was doing the story part, that was a little iffy. But Jeff Johns has always had a good handle on the character. So this so far has been, the best since then, I think. Let's see, we have Justice Society of America number 8. I have a feeling this is going to end up being like 12 issues, almost like a long extended mini. Simply because Johns is leaving for that create your own imprinted image. So, I have a feeling this is going to be 12 issues, and that's it. Which is unfortunate, because I think Justice Society of America, prior to New 52 and the whole DC resets over the past few years, that was one of the real flagship quality titles in the, I don't know, early 2000s to late 2010s, somewhere in there. And they've really never gotten back to that level of quality. Plus, honestly, when they hit New 52, they just jettisoned all of their legacy characters. That no one had kids anymore. There wasn't, apart from Batman and Green Lantern, because Johns was on those and kept their timelines basically the same. Everybody else was gone. You didn't have a Justice Society. You didn't have them having, kids. kids like Stargirl and stuff like that to pass the torch to. They just reworked all of that, so hard to have JSA when you don't have that younger generation that they're, um, mentoring. But we'll see what this ends up being. I read through issue 5, I think, which was the return of like their lost children from the Stargirl miniseries, and then I knew that the next thing was going to be a new storyline, so I have it sitting to the side, but I haven't read it yet. That's an ongoing theme. I have very little reading time for nowadays. And then lastly, and the reason I went to the store yesterday was Ultimate Spider-Man #1 by Jonathan Hickman. Of course, all the news in the comic book world when this announced was, this Peter Parker and MJ are married with children, and it was kind of a, apology to all those people that jumped off Amazing when they took the marriage away. So we're all very helpful, or hopeful, I should say. Hopefully this doesn't turn out like Amazing Spider-Man when they brought back Ben Reilly and then immediately, over the course of 10 issues, just beat the dead horse and jacked up his character forever. Hopefully this is better. I mean, it is Jonathan Hickman. It's not the Amazing Spider-Man editorial office. Those guys are Lord today. I was talking to the manager at my local comic book shop because I was looking at this on the racks, and he came over with my saver, and this was already in it because he knew. And we were talking about there's literally like 10 covers, maybe more, for this book. I don't know if this is just I think this is just the regular cover, but there's like 5 covers with Peter and MJ. There's a cover with like him in each of the suits. There's a black suit, a Ben Reilly suit one, like ridiculous. There's like 3 or 4 family portrait ones. There's some like Virgin, no text ones with different artwork. It was nuts, and they're $5.99. So I mean, you'd have to be a nut to be like, oh, I need all 12 covers. I mean, I counted 10, and I didn't even look through the entire rack. So I mean, that would be $60 if you were just like, I need all of Ultimate Spider-Man #1. I can't imagine. I'm sure there's some people that will do that for speculation purposes, but dear God, I went in just to make sure I got a copy because I wasn't sure if it was going to be. I mean, obviously they kind of, if anything, they overprinted the shiznit out of this, but you never know. I mean, sometimes there are comics that are hard to come by if you wait a few days to a week. And I'd seen that this was coming out, yesterday, as of this filming. So I went in just to make sure, around 10:30, 11 after they opened, to make sure I got a copy. But man, I mean, if you were gonna do speculation craziness and buy all the covers, I feel sorry for you. I don't think the $60+ that you dropped that day just for Ultimate Spider-Man #1, I don't think you're gonna see back. I mean, me myself, he handed me this cover and I looked at the racks. I was like, I don't know. And then I saw one with the Ben Reilly suit, and it was the same pose. I mean, I think if this is Chichetto's pencils, which I think it is, it looked like he literally just took this basic outline and just put the Ben Reilly suit on top. So I don't know if if they just took the outline and then he did a secondary mock-up, and then they had one that was the black suit and the same pose. So I would kind of assume that he's not literally redrawing the entire thing. Maybe they just can put the outline in like a program, and then he just fills in the inners. Or maybe they can just redo the suits. I mean, computers and artwork is crazy now. So, but I almost picked up that one but he was scanning me up already. I was like, I didn't want to mess with the process at that point. But made sure to get my copy, and excited to see what they do with it. Hopefully hopefully it's a Spider-Man that will last a long time, number one, and that they do a good job with, number two, and hopefully Hickman stays on it for a good chunk of time, because, if he's just on here for a little bit to get it going, and then they hand it off to the Spider-Man editorial, like, dear God, those people think that all Spider-Man readers should be 25, and that Spider-Man should be, like, constantly a bumbling, like, dummy Gen Z kid, and I just don't think they understand that not everybody wants Peter Parker to, forever be 23 and have, like, no grasp on his life. A lot of people matured with Peter. When I started reading Spider-Man, I was too young to be in his age group, but I mean, by the time they did One More Day, I was married also, and it made sense to me, and, redoing it and making him so young and restarting was just too much. If Spider-Man editorial gets held on Ultimate Spidey, they'll kill off his kids and have him divorced within like 5 issues. It'll be a freaking railroad train wreck. But that's that's the rambling for today. Hope you guys have a good new year, and hope you guys have been enjoying whatever you're picking up. And we'll see you next time.